The old brigade at Hardy's didn't think much of glass fibre at all. In fact, the tournaments I used to enter into in the late 50s, I wasn't allowed to use glass fibre rods at all. All my competitors were, and of course they were much lighter, and they could cast greater distances than I could with the old floppy cane rod.
It was a big thing to leave cane alone. Well, they never did, but because they thought, well, that's our strength, and we make better cane rods than anybody, which they did, but people weren't wanting cane rods anymore. And I think Hardy's, and rightly so, thought that glass just wasn't really the answer, and it wasn't. So maybe they should have been changing then. They did make glass rods, mind, but not so many of them.
The first glass rods weren't good rods. They were, I thought they were pretty poor. But we put that right very quickly. But I don't know if anybody, it had to be a real enthusiasm to want to collect them, I think. But once we started to make our own glass fibre rods, it was different altogether, and we could sort of put our thoughts, designs into it, and we could achieve what we wanted to achieve. We started before we started manufacturing the glass fibre ourselves, we started designing it, buy it from America, from a fisher in California, and he was very, very good. And we made the jet rod.
Well, jet stood for John E. Tarantino, and he was an American tournament caster who was very famously associated with Jim and Ian in the tournament field. Tragically, I think he was murdered in New York. I think he was shot opening his shop or something. But he was the one that worked very closely with us in developing the first very popular range of fiberglass rods.
He was a top tournament caster, and in fact he was world champion every time he competed. He was world champion for quite a lot of years. He became a great friend of mine. And he tried for some time to introduce Hardy's into glass fibre, and because he was from San Francisco, and there was a lot of glass fibre made in that area, rolled in that area, and he eventually got Hardy's interested.
Fiberglass was already being used by competitors abroad. Hardy's decided to try and catch up, to teach their staff the precision process of wrapping the fiberglass around solid steel molds. Plant was brought from the United States and the staff sent over there to learn the new techniques. The challenge was not just to equal other rods on the market, but to add that little bit extra that makes Hardy equipment the most expensive in the world.